Now, today we are continuing with our work for area, which, yes, we did area of parallelograms and squares yesterday, but today we're doing triangles and trapezoids, which are different in the way that we get our answer. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at our notes for today. Now, today we have two different formulas that we're going to have to use to find the area for these shapes. And the formulas are right up here on the top of your paper. Now, for a triangle, our formula is going to be area equals 1/2 times base times the height, or base times height divided by 2. Usually base times height divided by 2 is a little bit easier to do, or it seems to be a more popular formula, I guess, for most of you guys. And we're going to use that one, obviously, on number 1 because it's a triangle. Okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at that and work through it. Okay, the first thing we need to do is identify the base and the height. Well, the base is easy. The base, for the most part, always is going to be the bottom of your triangle. The height, however, just like yesterday for our parallelograms, it has to be the one that runs perpendicular to the base, which in this case is going to be 3. Okay, so we need to plug our numbers into our formula. Okay, and I'll use the base times height divided by 2. So I'm going to have our base, which is 4, our height, which is 3, and then we're going to divide all that by 2. Now, why do we divide that by 2? Well, if we didn't divide that by 2, that would give us the area of a parallelogram or a square. We don't want that. We need the area for a triangle. Okay? So, whenever I multiply this together, that's going to give me 12 divided by 2. Well, what's 12 divided by 2 equal? 6. That's right. So I know that my area for my triangle is going to equal 6. It's that simple. Okay? It's not difficult. However, if you forget, to divide by 2, you're going to get your answer wrong. So don't forget that step. That's a very important step. Okay? Questions on that?
All you do is times the numbers.
Yes, that's what you do for a triangle. Now, you have to make sure that the two numbers are the height and the base, because sometimes they will give you, like a side length, the slant length or length or something like that, which they'll try to trick you. But just remember, you want the one that runs perpendicular to the base. All right, good.
So
now,
three numbers, like for number 7,
you have to make sure you're using the height and the base, not the one that's on the slant. Okay?
so
Not the one that's on the slant.
number 7 is not one on the top.
Well, on your worksheet, number 7 is not a triangle. It's completely different than what we're talking about right now. So let's go ahead and take a look at our example number 2 on your notes so we can work through that. Now, our formula for this one is quite different when you are looking at your formula, which, if I'm going to try to move this smart ink thing out of the way so maybe we can see the formula. I'm not really sure what the heck's going on there, but I can move my paper up. Look, our formula for number 2 for our trapezoids are going to be half of the height times base 1 plus base 2. Now, what does all that mean? Is all that hard? No, that's not hard. Okay, the first thing we need to do is identify the base 1 and the base 2. The base 1 and the base 2 are going to be the numbers on the top and the bottom of your trapezoid, because we could flip this shape over and we could put this 10 up here on the 6 and the 6 down here where the 10 is, and it's not going to change our answer. That's why there's a base 1 and a base 2, because either one of these, the top or the bottom, could be the base. So I usually use the top as the base 1, but it doesn't really matter. And our 10 is going to be our base 2, and our height is the one that runs perpendicular to our bases right there, which is 4. So now I'm going to simply substitute those values into my formula. So I'm going to have area equals 1/2 times the height, which in this case is 4, times base 1 plus base 2. So that's going to be 6 plus 10. Okay? Now, we have to follow our order of operations, so we have to do what's inside of my parentheses first. Okay? So that's going to give me, so this is going to have 1/2 times 4 times 16. Okay? Now, our next step, we could do, it doesn't matter since we're multiplying, it doesn't matter the order. Okay? So we could do, I'm going to go ahead and do 1/2 times 4, which remember, 1/2 times any number is the same thing as dividing by 2. So if I did 4 divided by 2, what does that give me? Yeah, so that's going to give me 2 times 16. Well, what does 2 times 16 equal? Yes, 1/2 times 4 is 2. Okay, 2 times 16 is 32, so I know that the area of my my trapezoid here is 32. Okay, it's that simple. Now, that one looks a little bit more difficult, but if you plug the numbers into your formula every time, you're going to get the correct answer. Okay? Good. Let's take a look at number 3. Number 3 is a trapezoid also, with one difference. This one doesn't have a slant over here on the side. It has a 90-degree angle, which that becomes my height at that point because it runs perpendicular to the base. So let's go ahead and pick out our base 1 and base 2. Okay, we'll make 19 our base 1, make 15 our base 2. Okay, then let's substitute those values into my formula. Now I know that I'm going to have half of the height. What is the height on this one? 11 times base 1, which is 19 plus 15. Now, what's 19 plus 15? What is 19 plus 15? 34. Yes, 19 plus 15 is 34. So now that we have this right here, we can do, again, any step we want. We could multiply 11 times a half, which will give me a decimal. Or we could multiply 11 times 34. Or we could even multiply 34 times a half if you wanted to, because again, since it's multiplication, it does not matter the order. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and multiply 1/2 times 34 because I know what 34 divided by 2 is. 34 divided by 2 gives me 17, so that would leave me with 11 times 17. Okay, and 11 times 17 is 187. So my area for number 3 is going to be 187 square units, or whatever units it is that I'm using. Now, these aren't that difficult if you plug them into the formula. If you do not plug these into the formula and you try to do it in your head or try to do it without using the formula, you're going to get them wrong. Use the formula. That's why it's there. Okay? Questions on any of those? No. All right, then let's get to work.